So guys, welcome back to my channel. On this video I'll be walking you through the step-by-step process to creating a simple product design flyer for a skincare brand, to be precise. So without further ado guys, let's dive into the tutorial. So the first thing we have to do here is to create a new document or a new Canva workspace on which we'll be designing on, and I'll set my Canva workspace as follows. So I will set this in inches, 4x4 of height and width to be precise. Resolution remains on 300, and I'll be setting the color mode on RGB because I intend to use this content across web platforms and social media platforms as well. You can choose to give your project a name and hit on the create button. So over here we have the Canva workspace on which we'll be designing on. So the next thing I like to do is to drag in the resource files I'll be using for the tutorial. Do well to check the video description. You'll find the link to the exercise files in the video description. So guys, here are the exercise files I'll be using in creating this design, and over here is the product we'll be using for illustration purpose. Okay, so the first thing I would like to do while creating this design is to create a surface in which this product will be resting on. Okay, and for me to do this I have to turn off the layer and select the background layer, come all the way to my tool panel and select the rectangle tool. The keyboard shortcut is called U to be precise. So I'll select the rectangle tool and create a rectangle of this dimension to be precise, like this. Left click and drag out. Okay, so after you are done dragging out, you can hold Ctrl on the keyboard, move your mouse pointer to this edge where you have this, left click and drag out this way to create a diagonal path along that edge. Okay, so that is in terms of that. I would like to make a duplicate of the new rectangle by hitting Ctrl J. Ctrl J enables you to create duplicate. That is the keyboard shortcut. Hit Ctrl T to transform the layer. Right click and flip it vertically. Left click holding shift and take this vertically upward like this, and make sure it is properly aligned. In order for you to enable your smart guide, you can hit Ctrl H on the keyboard so that you can have a good preview when moving objects and make sure they are actually aligned properly. Okay, so I hold Ctrl over here, left click and drag this downward this way to create the surface on which the product will be resting on. And after you are done, you can choose to click on the check button. That is for that. Okay, so moving on, next I would like to turn on the product layer here, pick my move tool and place it around here. So I would like to transform it. Okay, but before transforming your subject's image, I always advise you should right click and convert it to a smart object. By doing so, it enables you to maintain the image quality. Okay, so I hit Ctrl T after converting it to a smart object and scale this like this. Okay, so moving on, I would like to also change the fill color of this product. I would like to change the fill from this fill of blue to green fill to be precise. Okay, so I have to select the product layer here, come all the way to my adjustment and enable the hues and saturation. Click on the hand icon over here and sample from the color you have on the product around the mid-tones regions. Okay, I've sampled that and I would like to change the feel of this to around something like this. Okay, you can choose to increase the saturation for the color as well, like this. That is in terms of that. Hold Alt in between the hues saturation layer and the product layer. Hold Alt in between the two layers and left click to create a clipping mark so that the effect will only affect the product to be precise. So moving on, I would like to change the fill color of this surface. So over here I've created a preset of colors I'll be using. Okay, over here is the hex code for the color I'm using, okay, on this end. While for this as well, I will intend to use this color, and here is the hex code for the color I intend to use as well. Okay, so I'll come back and select the product and make sure it is well positioned I can still choose to transform it out, okay, and place it this way. And moving on, I'll also like to make adjustments to the brick surface. So I'll select both rectangles, select the first rectangle, hold shift, select the second, hit Ctrl T. You can choose to scale it out to something around like this, and you can still choose to take this down this way. Okay, that is in terms of that. So moving on, I would like to select the product and place the product on this surface like this. Hit Ctrl T to transform it out and place it like this as well, and we are good to go. So after I'm done, I noticed that there's a reflection of the product on this end, and it shouldn't be this way because the light source is directly from the top of the product. So I'll have to find a way to take this out from this other end, okay, thereby making the product look real. So I'll hold Ctrl, I move my mouse pointer to where I have the rectangle one, holding Ctrl, left click and click on this thumbnail icon here to make a quick selection of that region. Select your product and add a vector mask to it. Hit Ctrl I to invert your selection. Make sure you're still Make sure your mask layer is still selected. Pick your brush, control the flows to a good radius, okay. You can set this to about 30 to control the strength. Right click and make sure you're working with the soft round brush, and make sure your foreground is still set on black, and you can choose to brush out that edge to create a smooth transition around this particular side. Okay, so that is in terms of that. So moving on, I would like to create a layer that is directly above this, okay, that is directly beneath the product layer. I'll add a new layer here. I like to pick the brush and increase the flows back to 100. Right click and make sure you're working with the soft round brush and scale down the structure of the brush like this, okay. So after you're done, I'd like you to sample a color from the shadow region. Sample a color from the shadow region of the product like this. Scale up the size of your brush using the open and close bracket key beside the P button, and left click like this to create that shadow fill, okay. Ctrl Z, that shadow is not strong enough. I can come back here and take the color this way to enhance the look of the shadow. So I'll come here, left click, okay. You can now see the reflection. Ctrl Z. So I'll apply it here, scale up the size of this as well, apply it here, okay, apply it here as well, and I would like to also apply it on this other end as well, okay, thereby creating that real feel. I can still choose to increase the look by duplicating that layer once more, thereby making it looking more real and reducing the opacity a little bit, okay. Select both layers and group them, and you can choose to name them shadows. That is for that, okay. And I can choose to select the shadow group, holding shift all the way to the rectangle one and hit Ctrl G to group, and I'll call this BG, which stands for the background, okay. Moving on, I also like to add depth to this. I notice that the product has more highlights. I need to add fill of shadows to this other set of parts. So I'll select the hues and saturation, slide over to your adjustment and apply the curve adjustment. Click on the clip marks icon over here. Please take note that when working with the curves are also made up of 3 regions. Here are called the highlights, and the middle parts are called the midtones. The bottom parts are called the shadows. So I would like to add fill of shadows to the shadow region, to be precise, okay. That is in terms of that, okay, thereby enhancing the look of that product, okay. So moving on, I would like to also select the curve layer, holding shift, select the product and group it by hitting Ctrl G and call this product. Okay, that is in terms of that. So the next thing I like to do is to place in this. Okay, hit Ctrl T. I would like to place it in like this. Okay, I can choose to make a duplicate by hitting Ctrl J, Ctrl T to transform. Right click and flip it horizontally and scale down the size, and you can choose to place it on your product like this. Okay, can choose to place it in this way. Okay, and moving on, the next thing I like to do is to enable the brand logo I'll be using for the illustration. So I right click and convert it to a smart object, slide over here and select the magic eraser tool. The keyboard shortcut is E. So I'll left click to take out these white regions of the logo and right click back to convert it to a smart object. So after you are done, you can double click on the layer and slide over to color, to the layer styles, and select the color overlay, set this to white. Okay, opacity on 100, blending mode on normal, and click on the OK. Ctrl T, scale this down, and you can choose to place the logo mark of the brand around somewhere here like this. Now moving on, I also like to add this, okay, window reflection here. So I'll hit Ctrl T to transform and scale this out to give it a feel of the product is actually sitting around a window environment. So I will change the blending mode for this to be precise. Okay, and I also still intend to add more depth. Let me turn off this. Select the background layer, enable the hues and enable the solid color. Okay, I would like to select a lighter value of the green. Okay, I think this amount is okay. Click on the OK, enable this back. Okay, so finally, in the final part of creating this design, I'd like to pick my text tool and add a little fill of information on this part. Okay, I would like to scale this down and place it around somewhere here. Okay, I'm making use of the font called Urbanist. Regular is the style, and I'd like to make a duplicate of this, and I'll call this Glow On. Hit Ctrl T to transform, change the font to Go Bold Heighten. That's the name of the font. Come to your character panel here. Please, if you intend to have yours over here, you can enable it from the windows. Okay, and adjust the tracking to about 0 is okay, and I think we are good. So I'll hit Ctrl T, scale this up properly. Okay, so I still like to scale it like this, and we are good. Pick your move tool, Ctrl Z, make sure you select the flower image. I need to adjust it a little bit like this. Okay, align space for contrast. Okay, I initially intend to use the font for the brand, but I don't have that, so I'll do with what I have. Okay, so I feel that we're almost done with this design. So you can also choose to improve the look of your design by coming to your adjustments and applying a color lookup, and apply a color lookup that can actually help the look of your project. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I think we have come to the end of today's tutorial. If you do find this tutorial helpful, do it to give it a like do well to smash the like button right away. If you're new to the channel and you're here to subscribe, do well to smash the subscribe button and turn on the post notification bell to get notification whenever I upload new content. And if you're a returning subscriber, guys, thank you for always watching. If you have any questions or comments, do well to leave them in the comment section. And thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next.